time. We're standing by for the manual flight test coming up in the next couple of minutes.
SpaceX Dragon, you guys are welcome back on board anytime.
Copy all. Yeah, we'll be setting up for the manual piloting demo shortly.
Okay, so that was Bob and Doug giving the okay for us to turn the cameras back on inside of Crew Dragon. And I did hear in one of the previous commands earlier that...
And Jay, just a quick tag up, the detectors are all confirmed off OFF.
Copy, confirmed off.
I did hear earlier that they got the okay to unstow the floater cams. So maybe if we're lucky, we might get a little bit of a hello from Bob and Doug. Fingers crossed.
It's going to be incredible to see this flight test, though, because, I mean, imagine if you were sitting in the cockpit of like an F-18 the first time somebody flew it or something. I mean, these are test pilots test piloting a spacecraft, and we're going to be looking right over their shoulder. And it's an incredible feel. Like, I'm really excited to see this and to just really be with them their whole flight up to space. They'll have this, and then we'll have another burn coming up in a little less than 50 minutes from now. It'll be the second one, will be a boost burn to really raise up that orbit as they begin to chase down the International Space Station. Then for the rest of the day, the crew doesn't have a whole lot. They'll have their evening meal, which we'll go through in a little while, and then it'll be time for bed. They'll have about 8 hours scheduled for sleep, and then they'll be able to wake up tomorrow and do that final approach and docking to the International Space Station. So it's already been a long day for them. They've only got a few more things, and then they'll be able to kind of kick back and enjoy outer space for a little bit.
Yeah. And like we said before, this far-field manual flight test that's coming up is the opportunity for them to is the opportunity for Bob and Doug to take manual control of the Dragon spacecraft, just to demonstrate that it is possible to do so in the event that they need to steer it themselves. This is a demonstration mission, so this far-field manual flight test is actually one of our big test objectives for this mission. So that'll be really exciting to see. But touching on the point that Dan said, which, by the way, that test should be coming up in a...
And Dragon SpaceX, for awareness, we're back on board.
Dragon copies. Welcome aboard.
All right, so that was the confirmation that we should be getting camera views inside the cabin once again. And there we got them. So we can see they're looking at their touch screens, preparing for this manual test that will be coming up in about 30 seconds. What a sight. I love that we can see right over their shoulders. We can see the screens.
Yeah, it's just incredible. If you keep your eye on the displays, the one on the far left will look very familiar to you if you've done that automated, or not, if you've done the manual docking demo that we were talking about a little bit earlier on the SpaceX website. Doug Hurley's going to be at the physical controls, so he's going to be the one flying today.
Dragon SpaceX, if you are ready, we're going to command far field pointing.
Here we go.
We are ready.
Copy. I'll give you the go after the transition is verified.
So again, they're going to put Dragon into a far field pointing. So they're going to put it into a special configuration just to let the flight computer know that, hey, this manual flight test is happening, and then the flight computer won't be trying to fight it or adjust the attitude at any point during this. And again, all of the inputs that Doug is going to make as he's doing the manual flying, they're not going to send those final commands to the flight computer. So when they're done, the flight computer takes back control of the spacecraft, continues flying on its way to the station.
Yeah, so I would imagine that right now they must be really excited to conduct this test. Bob and Doug are test pilots. This is what they live for. And for them to have the opportunity to test out a completely new vehicle, this upcoming test is certainly something that I'm sure they've been looking forward to.
So we're just going to continue to stand by. We'll get this test started. We'll be hopefully over their shoulder the whole time, and we'll bring you the results after it's concluded.
Okay, Dragon SpaceX, we'll see you in far field pointing. You are go to perform manual piloting test per 4.042, far field manual piloting. The test must be completed by 21:26.
Okay, we copy. We've got to go for 4.042. We'll put that in work and understand the test needs to be completed by 21:26 Zulu.
Good read back.
Houston. For those of you watching, Bob and Doug are inside a Crew Dragon vehicle performing the manual flight test. You can maybe see a little bit on the front screens here from the inside cabin. Bob and Doug manually piloting the Crew Dragon. They're in something called local vertical.
Go NASA. Go SpaceX. Go America. It was just a year and a half ago that the President of the United States put in his State of the Union address, he said, "We are going to launch American astronauts on American rockets from American soil." And he looked at me and he said, "You're going to make that happen." And here we are a year and a half later, and with the help of Elon Musk and the SpaceX team, we have delivered. But But of course, the president's agenda is just beginning. There is so much more. He turned around and he recreated a moon program. And he said, we're going to go to the moon for a purpose because we as a nation are going to get to Mars. And I will tell you, this area, this little agency we call NASA is excited about it. I want to tell you a quick story. My job is to introduce the Vice President of the United States, and I'm going to do that in just 1 second, but I have to take a moment. It was about 9 years ago, that the Space Shuttle Atlantis landed right here for the last space shuttle mission in the history of the United States. And the next day, 2,000 pink slips went out. And over the course of the next 2 years, this area went from 15,000 jobs down to 7,500 jobs. Devastation for the Kennedy Space Center and really a lot of very disgruntled NASA employees. But I'll tell you this, the vision now is as bright as it's ever been. We are one step by one step accomplishing what we need to do as a nation to lead again in space, and it's not just rhetoric. The president is backing it up with his budget requests, and we're getting bipartisan support in both the House and the Senate for this very aggressive space agenda that includes NASA, but it also includes the brand new Space Force, which is a great partner of ours right here at the Cape. So now I have the great honor of introducing a person who was put in a role by the President of the United States, and this role had been gone for 25 years. The role was chairman of the National Space Council. President Trump said, we're going to make space a priority, and here's how serious I am about that priority. We're going to put the Vice President of the United States of America as the chairman of the National Space Council. And we're going to put on that council the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Commerce and the Secretary of Transportation and the Director of National Intelligence and so many others. And here's what we have done. As a nation, America is again leading in space, and we are proud. This little agency, yes, please, America is leading again in space. And I can tell you that when the Vice President got that role of chairman of the National Space Council, he took to it like a duck takes to water. We've had meeting after meeting about how to make America preeminent in space, and of course I have entertained phone call after phone call about this mission that we accomplished here today. The Vice President is a very, very real space enthusiast. He, of course, has been very supportive of what is now the largest budget in NASA's history in nominal dollars, and of course right here at the Kennedy Space Center, we are seeing the benefits of that today. We have, for the first time since 1972, we have a human landing system funded to go back to the surface of the moon, and now we have contracts for that human landing system. And of course, one of those partners is SpaceX. Thank you for partnering with us yet again. So it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce to you the chairman of the National Space Council, the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence.
Well, hello, NASA. Hello, SpaceX.